I have had a list of 100 fun questions to ask people for years because I hate the questions like, what do you do? Where did you come from? Would you want to know the day that you will die? What were you born to do? That's like the question.
If they can meet me and question something, if I can live my life in a way that's just weird enough to get people to see it and go, there's something going on here.
Go into the Titanic and be like, left,
Yeah.
hard left. So we are here again.
Yeah.
And we're totally winging this one.
Mhm.
But that's sort of the premise,
Yeah.
is that it's finding meaning in asking good questions. And I have a list of, now it's 119 questions.
Yeah.
I have had a list of 100 fun questions to ask people for years because I hate the questions like, what do you do? You know, where did you come from? All that kind of stuff, because it just bores me really
Yep.
fast.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I thought, why not? I just added a few more. I Googled good questions to ask people and added 20 more and thought, we'll just go for it.
I like it.
And so I guess before we hop into some of these questions,
Mhm.
is there a time that you remember being asked a really good question?
Not necessarily a specific time, but the people that stand out to me that I really look up to ask really good questions.
Yeah.
Like friends that I really respect, or like you, or mentors, different like coaches, different people ask really good questions and they make you think.
Yeah.
And they typically do things just a little bit differently, which probably leads them to ask questions in different ways. But specific time, no, but people definitely I note, like which ones are good listeners.
Yeah, I could relate to that. I probably could think of a specific example, but nothing off the top of my head. But I've always been drawn towards people who just interesting questions beg for interesting answers and interesting conversations instead of I grew up in Iowa and like,
if they took the time to think of an interesting question, you know that they are interested in your response.
yeah.
It's not they want to listen. And good listeners are people that I'm drawn to. You can kind of tell when someone's listening to you, but they're just waiting for you to be done. And if I actually have a thought and I'm on a track, I just end it. I'm like, yeah, okay, well, that's too long-winded. You know, you don't care. I'm just gonna stop. So
I was just having dinner the other night with some friends, and you know, this happens, nothing personal, but one of those things where you start going on something and you realize no one's listening, so you just stop.
Yeah.
Mid-sentence. Like, okay.
I've gotten better at not taking offense of those things. It just, people are in different things and we're always doing a million things at once. So
yeah, having different conversations.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm gonna, since I run the podcast, I get to ask you a question first.
Okay.
And so why don't you pick a number, because they're numbered 1 through 13. You don't get to look at
I haven't looked at it yet, but 34. That's
34.
my go-to.
Okay.
That was always my sports number.
34. Holy cow, this is a long question.
Okay.
I didn't write this one. I forgot to say, this is a combo of a non-alcoholic whiskey and an Irish whiskey.
Okay.
So you mean like half the alcohol?
Yeah.
And
because it's like almost 5, but not quite. Yeah. It's almost 5 somewhere.
And I found this at Walmart, of all places, the non-alcoholic one. They've been carrying more non-alcoholic beers and spirits and things. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, I said that I made this list of 100 questions. Me and my brother sort of co-created it over the years. So this is one that he wrote. You are discontent with the state of the world today and also happen to have a time machine. Your goal is to travel to the past in order to tell one person something that will yield the most dramatic change in the modern world, good or bad, taking nothing with you but your knowledge and experience. When and where would you go? Who would you talk to? And what would you tell them?
Oh my gosh.
That is literally the longest question of all the questions.
That's so much. Okay. I feel like I'm really gonna have to censor myself on these too, because
Why?
I don't like. Maybe I'll give away too much, be too political or religious or whatever.
Say what you had to say.
Where would I go?
I think everything's kind of religious or political.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
People like to pretend that it's not, but everything has really deep dimensions as far as how it affects society, the political, and like your search for meaning and God or whatever.
Yeah. I always struggle when these come out because it's typically like a dinner party type thing and everyone's wanting to have a good time and they ask these questions. I'm like, well, actually, that doesn't make sense. It should be this way. But anyways.
Let's say if you were going to go back in hopes to actually change something.
Yeah.
Like, who would you talk to and what would you tell them? Whether that's, I don't know, going to the Titanic and be like, left, hard left.
Oh. It's such a hard question because I've been learning so much about how all the bad things are so good. And we only experience as much pleasure as we experience pain. And I feel like that's... as a total human history, that's kind of the case too. I mean, it might be nice to maybe talk Hitler down from that whole situation.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I could, but I would go back and maybe attempt to.
What would be your pitch to him? Like,
hey, it's not going to work. It doesn't end well for you, bud. So maybe just don't. Maybe just be mad at home.
Hey. Like, that's practical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have saved some people a lot of heart breaks, but
that's a good answer.
That would have been the attempt.
Doesn't Deadpool do that and goes back and kills baby Hitler?
Does he? Oh yeah.
So, anyway, okay, good answer. So I guess you can rattle one off in me now. I don't know these numbers by heart, especially now since I just rearranged it. I'm gonna go with. What was my football number? 84.
84.
Yeah.
All right.
My football number. I did. If you haven't listened to this before or don't know anything about my sports history, I was quite the football star. And by quite the football star, I mean my total yardage for 2 years was negative 15 yards.
Yeah.
But my number was 84. So hit me with it.
Hey, we won a conference championship, though.
Mm-hmm.
If you were going to describe the person on your right, so, me, yes. To someone who hasn't met them, what would you say? I feel like this is like fishing for compliments right here. I didn't pick it.
That's true. That's a good question. So Neil is, what are the words I would use to describe you? Neil is...
I would probably struggle with the words, but...
Curious.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And... somewhat quiet-natured, but likes to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you really pull off the sitting on the porch in the rocking chair, plus the like let's go out and go camping and have fun.
I love that.
And what else? You are you care passionately about the things you do and won't do something if it's going to sap away your drive and passion for life. And like even I don't even know what your current job update is, but you're like, I'm not going to do something. I would rather just not work and not make money and figure it out than to do something that's going to be too much for me or like not be impactful enough on the world. And so, those are a few things I'd mention about you.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like it.
Okay, so I got to hit you with another. Okay. We'll you get to pick a number, and then I'll pick a number for you in a minute.
Okay.
So,
let's do 12.
12. This is super similar to the last question, so I'm going to do 11.
Okay.
What's something about yourself or your life that might surprise others to learn?
PG things. Surprise. Okay, so like a little one, like the icebreaker thing that I always say is I'm colorblind. Most people don't know that, but then it goes into I don't like to tell people that because then it goes into, well, what color is this? What color is this? And then I guess it right and they think I'm lying. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm not colorblind.
It doesn't. We're not monetized and won't be for a while. So if you need a non-PG answer, that's fine.
I think just my open-mindedness, probably. You see like a middle-class white dude, grew up in the Bible Belt, raised in church, kind of all those things, and you ascribe certain things to that person. You put that person in a box, and we all do it, kind of judge people for right or wrong. But I try to be very open-minded. I'm very curious about different parts of the world. I'm trying to learn about different religions and different ways of viewing God and spirituality and all these things. So I'm not as basic as I look.
Yeah,
we'll put it that way.
That's true.
Yeah.
The hat, can give off the wrong vibes if you're just like the country boy. Like, oh, that guy's probably A, B, and C.
Yeah.
But you don't check all those boxes.
I'm a good mixture.
Yeah.
I'm a chameleon. I can fit in kind of anywhere.
Yeah, which I don't think is always a bad thing. Yeah. It's not even being hypocritical. It can be, but like it's just being, knowing who you're around and how to connect with the people that you're around.
Yeah, and I'm very sensitive, like you mentioned, of not being authentic and feeling like I'm being myself and being true.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like that in those situations when I'm chameleoning.
Yeah. I just remember that this morning I talked to a potential client on the phone, and as soon as she picked up, she was like, "Hi, this is so-and-so." And so like my southern twang just really kicked in.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't intentionally mean to, but you're just like, oh, you're selling it to this person, like, yeah, we can do this. No, I mean, not that thick.
Yeah.
But it really just kicks in.
Oh yeah. It happens when I talk to my parents on the phone or my grandpa. Laura will call me out.
Yeah. Whereas for the Eclipse, we were watching it with some Canadians, and I was trying hard to not sound like an, Arkansan person. So you just gotta be what you gotta be.
Yep.
Okay, I'll pick a number. What's another? My birthday is January 27th, so let's do 27.
Okay, 27. When was the most famous you've ever been? Could be a newspaper, the news, school performance.
That is a good question. Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of
same.
I haven't even met or seen a lot of famous people.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, I won some talent shows in high school.
Yeah, I remember you playing the piano in some talent shows.
Yeah, some little Malagueña. I had a little Hispanic lady from El Salvador who taught me piano, and so we'd learn all kinds of music. But that may be it. Just like a high school talent show. Nothing terribly noteworthy.
Same for me. I think I was in the newspaper once, like had my name mentioned in a line for football things.
Yeah.
And then probably the most famous I was me and a couple friends went cliff jumping at Beaver Lake, and the news showed up, and they're like, "Hey, can we get some shots of you guys like playing and jumping off and stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." We were all pumped. We go home to watch it that night, and it's like, basically the story was local idiots don't know how dangerous this is, and it was just videos of, and my parents were like, "What are you doing?" But it was just a shot of me like looking over. Oh, let's go.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's fame.
That was fame. Yeah.
And infamy.
That's the best I did. Yeah.
I say now we both scroll through this and then we get to pick a question to ask each other.
Okay.
I forget the order. I think I get to go first and ask you something. What do I want to ask you? What do you feel like is missing from your life currently?
A child and a dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
I don't know which will come first yet. I was looking at adoption animals online a couple days ago, so probably the dog.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of room and time for growth as a married couple with no or little responsibilities, no human or other creatures relying on us. But I do think there is something good about having someone else rely on you. Like you have to get up, you have to do the things, you have to make enough money. You're not always thinking about yourself. So I think that would be beneficial. Obviously having a kid doesn't solve a lot of issues, but maybe start with the dog. But
yeah, it's one of those weird zones where you're never fully ready for marriage or fully ready for a kid, but then you know that there's some people who are not ready for a kid or for marriage, and then I always debated like, well, am I that person? Like, how many issues do you have to not have before you should have a kid? That's a struggle.
Yeah. So I feel like I don't have a ton of issues, but we're ready.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah. What is the scariest situation you can think of?
Oh, that I can think of. Well, it would I was just thinking about this the other day. This would probably be like the worst case scenario I can imagine would be your child disappearing. Because it's one thing for your child to die, and that's obviously awful.
Yeah.
But you'd have some closure of like there was this accident or, cancer or something, and that's its own thing to deal with.
Yeah.
But just the added factor of like not knowing what happened to them, like maybe they're okay, or maybe they're still alive in some awful situation. And that would just, I don't know how people who have been in that position, like how they manage day-to-day life. So that's a pretty dark answer.
Oh no, even as a kid, I remember getting lost in like Walmart or something, and just the dread that overcomes you. You're like, I'm never going to see my mom again.
Yeah.
I'm an orphan now. How am I going to survive out here? And you just turn the corner and she's there.
Yeah. Oh, I found it. Yeah. Yep. So that's I can't think of a much worse thing to happen to me.
Yeah. So. For sure.
Okay, I'll pick another one too. For you, if you had an unlimited grant for one project, what would it be?
Oh, I think it would be land and a tiny house village with some common spaces. I think we've talked about this before. But if I could have just a little bit of land, not too far out of town, but enough for your it's quiet. Have the whole fam there, maybe some friends, little houses, nice community spaces, maybe like a garden, a pool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unlimited funds, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even have to be super nice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel ya. Well, hey, you have unlimited funds, so you might as well make it nice.
Yeah.
And I'd probably do something similar of just experiment with an actual neighborhood where people are connected and know each other, and maybe where there's some level of commitment of like expectation that if you're a part of this community, there, no sort of like religious or political ties, but that, you're going to be a part of so many things, sort of like homeowners association, but without just being a bitch. Like something that you actually
helpful.
Yeah. You want to be a part of. Yeah. And you're like, I can agree to that.
Yeah.
As opposed to my wife's parents, I think her dad made a shed that was the wrong color or too big or something. I'm like, you bought this house and it's on your land in your backyard.
Yeah.
Like, what business is your backyard?
I know.
Everybody else.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
But whatevs. Okay, you can pick another one.
What is one of your biggest regrets in life? What would you take back or do instead?
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, because granted the cliche, like, well, I wouldn't change anything because I wouldn't be the person that I am. It's like, on one hand, I do believe that.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I think, well, what if I would have tried this or that? And it'd probably be, oh gosh, it's hard because I guess I wish that I maybe would have been more focused as a younger person before having more responsibility to do something, whether that's if I would have gone to film school or just started doing more projects that might have been riskier where you didn't need as much support or finances, and I'm kind of getting the goals to, if even right now my life, is to get back to that point where I'm like building enough business that I can do creative film projects. But I think a lot of both my wife and I invested a lot of time and thought and energy in our 20s into things that didn't really pan out into much other than personal experience and becoming who you are. And again, I don't know if I legitimately don't know if I would trade that, but there's definitely some nights where I'm like, I wish I would have just done this and, not like spent all this time doing this or that or these things that just were, distractions. But I could have, it's the catch-22 if I could have tried those other things and those just exploded and been like, well, I wish I would have tried, what I did.
Yeah. And if you would have done that and it would have worked, you would have never learned the other things that went bad.
Yeah.
It is hard.
Yeah, because I think I'm just afraid of. I've had a lot of conversations with people about this recently because it keeps coming up. I'm just afraid of not doing something substantial with my life. I don't know if that's my greatest fear.
Yeah.
Because I think I could have a meaningful life if I'm just a guy. And I'd mentioned this to another person I interviewed that I really don't need fame or money or any of that. You just want to know that what you're doing has made a difference, and that usually is shown by like how it affects people. And so just wanting to do something that you feel like benefits the world, and and so I guess I'm only 31, so I can be over dramatic and think, it's too late for me to change anything. My life's already over. And
I feel like I've let all that go. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I'm still exercising it. And because I don't know, how did you get to that point?
There's a lot that went into it, and I don't know that I am really at peace there yet, but I think just realizing how much the little things add up and the butterfly effect that your life can be even as the average dude. And I think if people can meet me, and this is perfect for this episode, if they can meet me and question something, if they see me doing living my life in a way where they go like, oh, I don't have to do it this way, or oh, that's crazy, I would never do that, or whatever it is. If I can live my life in a way that's just weird enough to get people to see it and go, there's something going on here, and possibly change something in them, or even just think about it. I think that has a trickle down, trickle up, whichever way it's trickling, it's trickling somewhere. And I feel good about the universe taking my weirdness and weaving it into the tapestry of humankind and making something with it. Whether I ever feel that or can see my stream making a huge difference in the world. I just feel like being a unique person is enough to change the world. As woo-woo that sounds, I think that's really
it makes total sense. I just can't get it.
Like, and I'm not even trying to tell you shouldn't think that way. This is just where I'm at, and I'm trying to be a unique average dude.
Because I think of in that movie Coco, which is a kid's movie, but they go to the land of the dead, and they're like, oh, this person's about to phase out of even the land of the dead because the last living person has forgotten about them. Like, oh, that's really dark for a kid's movie. But I almost have an irrational fear of that. Like, what if I'm just like haven't done anything that's significant enough to be remembered for, and maybe that is narcissistic, because it probably isn't like I need my family to have a picture of me in their house or something for 10 generations down, but just wanting to know that your work, like the work that you did with your life and who you were, has like all these ripple effects. And I'm sure it does, no matter how big or small, but I wrestle with that all the time.
And maybe I'm overly optimistic about parenthood. You're there. But I feel like I've learned so much, and I have stripped away some of the trauma and maybe the not so good things that have been passed down to me through my family line, and I'm a better version, and the little me's are going to be an even better version. If I can do that and continue at least my line on the right path towards love, I'm okay with that being my legacy.
Definitely. Okay, here's one that's sort of inherently political. But if you became president, what would be the first law you would pass?
It's hard to say one law.
Yeah.
I would limit the military-industrial complex. I would limit taxes.
Yeah.
Limit the government in many ways. I would require AIPAC to register as a foreign entity.
So
what's something fun that I could do?
Law that encapsulates all of that. Which could just be
a human. Be a kind human. I would say only people who don't desire to be president are allowed to run for president.
No,
there we go.
That's a good one.
I think those are the people that probably should be in that position. The ones that don't have any desire to be a politician. So.
Yeah, if it was less of a campaign and more just enough people saying like, this dude has got it going on.
Yeah.
Like, we need him in charge. That's how I feel about someone like Mr. Beast. He's too young, obviously. Yeah. He's like, man, this guy gets stuff done.
Yeah.
Like, we need to just find a way to topple the government and put him in office, and he will make everything function properly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's do 38.
What is your favorite book and why?
I've got my bookshelf right here. And I'm not really proud of this anymore. I used to be really proud of it, that I've read almost all of these books, not those. Those are Alexa's. Okay. But I hate having a bunch of books on a shelf that like you haven't touched or like looked through. And because it feels, well, it's one thing if it's for storage, but there's some people that it's like, you don't want to be one of those people who's only read 10% of the books on your bookshelf, because it just feels like a what do you call it, like virtue signaling, like, oh, look at me. But one of my favorites from there, No Country for Old Men, was really good.
Ooh. Better than the movie.
The movie was great too.
Yeah.
But both of them were just, I learned a lot of good Southern sayings from it, for one.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. Like, a guy gets asked, how are you doing? And his answer is, you're looking at it. And I just think stuff like that's great.
Yeah.
And while I was going through, I started a list eventually on my phone of like, man, these are great sayings, and I wanna learn more. And but I was pretty far through the book, so I want to go through it again and like write out all those good Southern sayings. But it was just very, for one, it was a great story, compelling, interesting, well written. But then it was very it really helped me see that the world's always been a crazy place, and you're not special. For every generation thinks that it's the end and things are as bad as they've ever been and will ever get. And the point of the book is sort of that's kind of vain, and that you should just not think of yourself so much and be thankful for the gifts you do have. And so that'd be one of my favorite books for sure.
I like it.
Okay, you throw out a number.
101.
101. Would you want to know the day that you will die?
No. No chance. The rest of my life would be ruined.
Yeah.
Most likely. Maybe if it was a long way away, I would really enjoy life and just be like, I'm fine, I can do what I want. I can fight a bear.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no.
No.
I think it would take a lot of joy out of it.
Yeah.
So, even though I can't say I don't fear death. Everyone fears death to some extent, but I feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
I feel at peace when that day comes, but knowing about it would strip that peace.
I'm less afraid of death, and more, if I died, say in the next 5 years, it'd more just be a serious inconvenience. If I'd be really annoyed of like, come on, like there were things I wanted to do, and I'm trying to, live my life to the fullest every day, but you gotta do things step by step.
Yeah.
And
it might be helpful logistically. Like, okay, I better get a will in place before next month, I better show my wife how to pay these bills. It's only in my account, whatever. So
yeah. No, that's good. And let's scroll through and pick a pick another one for each other that we get to actually read.
All right. If you were to live in medieval times, which profession would you take?
Oh, I've been asked this one before. What did I say? My answer now, medieval times.
A lot of it's brutal, I feel like.
Yeah.
You're either swinging a sword, making a sword, feeding the guy swinging a sword.
Yep, pretty much.
Or telling the guy where to swing the sword.
Yeah. That would probably be one of the better places to be, is in a castle somewhere making decisions. Yeah, because I am like No Country for Old Men. Like, I sure am glad I do not live in medieval times.
Yeah.
And but if I was just picking something based off of assuming that my life will be somewhat decent for that time and it's just the interest of the trade, maybe a legit farmer back in the day. I know that's hard work.
Yeah.
But yeah, to have that sort of connection with nature and animals sort of by force and necessity would be, just so different from the modern world. Even like modern farming is still you're connected with nature, but not like back in the day where you're just hoeing
There's no combine back in the day, sitting up perched up in the AC.
Yeah, so I feel like that'd be where you just work hard and the sun sets and the stars come out and you're exhausted and yeah.
Kind of like shepherding, but probably less smelly.
Probably. Yeah.
You have a proper house. You're not on the move.
I of course, as any person, I love animals, but I don't really want to take care of them.
Yeah.
I'd rather take care of the earth.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a great one. I think this is one of the ones that I wanted to ask you because it's relevant. If you were able to create your job, what would it be?
Yeah, I think it would be a tiny home builder.
Okay.
I really enjoy getting to be creative and make kind of unique, cool things that people haven't seen before. Make it small, make it sustainable, make it affordable. That's a huge thing for me. Even tiny houses now are in the six figures. And like, what are we doing? So yeah, creating something really beautiful, a piece of art that I could use my creative juices and my hands and abilities to build for someone that is affordable and sustainable for them. That would be perfect.
Yeah. Oh, I hope you can build me a home one day.
I would love to.
Maybe a medium home.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need a tiny home.
Yeah, and when I say tiny, I small.
Yeah, because so many of the houses that we've looked at, and it's like, we don't need a master bedroom that's, I don't even know square footage, but that's massive and then has a bathroom that's just as big. Like, our current bathroom is tiny and I love it because, like, why do you need a giant bathroom? I would much rather have a giant living room or kitchen or place where you
can... Or an outdoor space.
Yeah. Get people together.
I'm dreaming of an outdoor kitchen space right now.
Ooh.
Nice grill, nice little covered shaded area, fire pit.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's scroll through. We don't even have to ask each other all these, but let's scroll through, and when you see one that you just find interesting, just throw it out. Just to give an example of some of these questions. Which number one is, what's the best conversation you've had this week? It's a good question to ask people. Number two is, when's the last time you cried? A little personal.
I think mine was Marcel the Shell with shoes on, the documentary that I just watched.
You told me really about touching. And I watched it with the kids. Yeah. And it was really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite fictional world or universe? It's a good question. What would it mean for you to have made it in life? That's something I've started asking everyone that I interview. There's Alexis. And
so this one fits in number 3. What's the most amazing works of art you've ever seen?
Oh, that is a good one.
And we just went, I don't know if you've been to the Exquisite Creatures exhibit at Crystal Bridges.
No, not yet.
So we went last weekend. We had some family in town, and it was so beautiful. It was like butterflies and beetles and lizards and snakes and sea creatures and all these things just arranged in ways that were just gorgeous.
Oakley.
It's Oakley.
Oakley's here. You heard about the animals. Oakley, come here. Come say hi to the camera. Oakley. Or yeah. This is Oakley Power. Say hi.
Handsome young fella.
Yes, that is a strapping young lad. Oakley, do you have any questions for us? No.
No.
He hears food happening.
Yeah, he's done with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was so beautiful, and I think it was so beautiful because it was just nature arranged in these beautiful patterns. The artist did a really good job, but just walking through there, I was like, this is so beautiful because it's the universe around us. Like, this is so awesome. So yeah, that was
I've
really
heard
cool.
a lot of good things about it.
Yeah.
Have to check it out.
Yeah.
What are some of my other favorite questions on here? What's your idea of a perfect date night? Okay, this one I actually want us both to answer.
Okay.
Because one that I saw on this questions to ask people page online, and what were you born to do? That's like the question. But you personally, what do you feel like you were, like, the skill set, the like mindset, your experiences, what were you just made for?
Yeah. This might be like cheesy. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but I feel like I was made to caretake and protect others in different ways, whatever that might look like.
Okay.
It's looked different at different times in my life, but I had aspirations of maybe joining the military, and then that, got me into the fire service kind of because of that. But just family and friends I've always looked out for, and kind of thought of myself as someone who maybe would keep things in because I didn't want to burden other people with them, or would shield other people from things, and just it's looked different in different ways. But I think that's kind of like who I've always been. Even as a kid in elementary school playing dodgeball, I always remember this. But I had a friend, my best friend Julio at the time.
Julio.
And do you remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a cool guy. If you're out there, Julio,
we miss you.
Yeah. But yeah, every time we'd play dodgeball, I'd run up and I'd grab a ball and I'd just be like, all right, man, I'm going to shield you. You don't worry about anything touching you.
Yeah.
You're on offense. You stand behind me and you get people out. And that was my thing, like playing football. I was always like the fullback, the blocker guy, or the linebacker is kind of like not the star, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great answer. Oh gosh. What was I born to do? It would probably be twofold. I've always been really interested in storytelling and feel like I was just made to create films and stories, and that through that art form, and that's kind of always been on my mind ever since I was pretty young. And I think it's sometimes it can, like, I'll watch a movie and I'll think, man, this is so good, or like this movie had so much potential, and it's kind of backseat, or not, I was gonna say backseat quarterbacking. That's not the right saying.
It's close enough.
Close enough. And of like, I know it's a lot of work to make any kind of movie, but I feel like I could make it a really good movie one day, and I'll be damned if I don't. That's one of those things where if I died, I'd be really mad if I didn't get to make my movie.
Yeah,
and so that's one fold, and then the second part would probably be that growing up, I had a really strong desire to be a pastor, but not in the sense of I would be totally fine with never preaching a sermon. I don't really particularly like being in front of crowds, and the idea of having to talk to people every week and have something meaningful enough to say to them, like, that's not for me.
Yeah.
And maybe once a year or something, and kind of like distance from that world. But I still think the pastor role, as I imagined it, was just like being connected with people, sort of in the old English meaning of the word, of like a shepherd of sorts, like just taking care of people, like meeting up with them, getting coffee, saying, how you doing? Like, what's up with life? What can I help you with? That kind of thing. And just building community, both on an individual level, and like bringing people together for cookouts and events and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Those are probably my two.
I definitely went through one of those phases too. Yeah. Shadowed underneath a pastor for a while.
Oh, what you did?
Yeah.
I'm forgetting this. When was
this was when I was at New Life, so this would have been like 2016.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that for you? Or what? I'll say, what were the positives for you? I'm sure we could both pick apart a lot of things.
Yeah. I guess just seeing how much those guys are juggling. There is just so much, and they're always expected to be planning an event and the upcoming thing, and then you have the recurring, Easter, Christmas stuff that you're building up for all year, and they just have a lot on their plates. So kudos to them for being able to keep all those balls in the air.
Yeah, for sure. Did you see any others that struck you? Not even one, whether it's ones that you just wanted to mention or ones you actually wanted to ask.
I thought number 29 was interesting. What do you want written on your tombstone?
Oh yeah.
I don't know that I have a good answer for that.
I think I do, because it's what we talked about. I think the last time we got together with the family. Does this have my name on the back of it? Powers Court. Okay.
Hey.
I didn't even know. Powers, an Irish whiskey. They're just like peanut butter and jelly.
Right.
But I mentioned on the last time we got together of that A Christmas Carol quote of the guy saying, "Mankind was my business." I think it'd want to be something of that nature, like that I was about people. And I don't know what the exact phrasing would be, but something to that effect.
Yeah. I can't see it yet. I feel like it's fuzzy, and when it comes into focus, then I probably am close to death.
Exactly.
I don't know it yet.
Which we went to several cemeteries when we were in Italy, up in the mountains, and all of them had pictures of the people and blurbs on the tombstones, which just doesn't really happen as much over here. And I thought that was really neat, just to see, this person, and I know. There was a guy who started a business. They haven't really caught on where you put a QR code on your tombstone and you scan it. It goes to a website, and it's like not just an obituary, but tells them about the person's life, and the family, I think, can even upload pictures and videos of the person.
Yeah. And we could link the podcast, so we could still be getting
views even after death. Yeah. That's
when we'll make it big.
That's when we'll hit it. And we'll find our glory in death.
Yeah.
Like the men of old. Hey, Oakley's back. Is there anything, it doesn't have to be an exact quote, but if you had like a general phrase that you'd want on your tombstone?
I feel like it's going to be something that some people will probably find profound. And some people will be like, "This guy's an idiot." It'll just be like, "I was here and now I'm not," or just something like, I don't know.
Just a flash in the pan.
People will be like, "Wow," or others will be like, "This guy, I can't believe he put that on his tombstone." Like what?
Like a lot of Bob Dylan songs. Some people are like, "Man, this is the deepest lyrics I've ever heard." You're like, "What? I have no idea what he's talking about."
This wave has returned to the ocean.
Yes. Oh, so poetic. So poetic. What's your one of your all-time favorite songs, and why? That's pretty basic, but I still think it's a good question. And what do you wish you had more time to do is a good question. What is one of the most beautiful places in nature you've been? I know there's one that's, it's right here after. What's one of the most profound experiences you've ever had with an animal? I like that question.
I've been seeing a lot of storks lately.
Really?
I don't know what that means.
You were just
anyone out there
to have a baby.
Yeah, if anyone out there knows what that means.
Are you trying to send subliminal messages to your wife?
I didn't pay these storks. They're not paid actors, but we were driving the other day and one was just flying next to our car for a good 100 yards. And then we were at the house yesterday. I'm old man style. I like to look out over my yard, just watch the birds and stuff, think about all my projects.
Do you have a rocking chair? Or is it just a chair?
No, well, we have a porch swing.
Okay.
So that works.
Yeah.
But this huge stork just comes and lands. There's kind of a pond, but it's more just like a drainage ditch on my neighbor's property, and it just came and just landed right there. And then it just like slowly like circled our house and then flew off. I'm like, I've never seen a stork anywhere near my house. Like, what's happening? So
yeah,
I don't know. It's the Matrix trying to tell me something.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's wild.
Yeah.
I actually hit an owl with my car. Sounds awful, but so that sounds more like a bad omen.
Yeah.
But I've done it twice. I almost did it once. I did it once.
Okay.
And almost did it again. But it was in the same, like, not even mile stretch, like the same 200 yards in a random place out in the country, which maybe that's just where they live.
Yeah.
But one of them it was flying by and I hit it. And the other one, it was in the road. And it took me until I came up on it because it was turned away from me. And then it did its like, poof, right at the end. It was like, that's an owl. But he got away.
Okay. Poor guy. One of them didn't get away, though.
Yeah. Well, I can't say that I definitely made contact, but I couldn't see in my rearview mirrors. It was night. And so maybe he was all right. Probably not, but whatevs.
I wrecked a turkey vulture one time.
Those are big.
Yeah. Those are big.
That's a big boy.
Oh,
yeah. What's one song that'll get you on the dance floor every time? That's a good one. Oh, 57 is one I like asking people a lot. What's something in your life that you're most proud of but rarely talk about? Because it tells a lot about a person, like what they value and what's meaningful to them.
Do you have one for that?
Most proud of but rarely talk about. This is just off the top of my head. This probably isn't the most proud of, but just something that I was thinking of recently that I am kind of proud that I like built a business that works, and it's taken a lot of effort and a lot of kind of desperation of a lot of going into it more full time when we first got married, and so it was really a sink or swim, both for my wife and for her parents, having like, you got to take care of this girl and like potential children one day.
We're taking her back if you don't make it.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was very much a sink or swim. And when you have that desperation level, you really kick into gear and like, okay, I got to find a way to make this work, and doing something like providing a service that's marketable enough that people will pay you money to do it. I do pictures and videos for mostly for weddings, and so I'm partially proud of it because it's so out of I'm a very driven person, but for a long time I was not at all a businessy person. My business was functioning almost purely on just doing a good job and doing well with people and connecting well with people. I had no idea what I was doing. Probably a lot of it was illegal and not tax wise. I've gotten that sorted out, I think. I shouldn't put that on YouTube. But I have a tax guy, so I'm just like, I give everything to him.
It's on him now.
If he's messing something up, I'm gonna pin it on him. But that'd be one thing.
Yeah. I've been really proud of your business. It's really cool. I didn't know what it was going to be when you first started. I was like, I think he just doesn't want to like go work for somebody else. I'm all for that. I didn't expect it to still like turn into this thing that full time, you and Alexis. And
my wife is
she's working too.
She mostly just shoots weddings with me, but then I kind of do all the emails and stuff, I'm constantly amazed at how little of my business is actually just taking pictures and editing them or videos. Like, it's so much phone calls and updating this or that and keeping all your gear together and updating your website and doing this expo and doing this vendor event and which I can't complain about, but it's one of those things that it's so integrated into every part of every day that I've had to try to figure out more, how do I turn this off? And when should I? Because I don't necessarily think that I always need to, because I don't have a whole lot of hobbies. Most of my hobbies I end up monetizing somehow or another.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why not? Instead of just watching Netflix for an hour, I could like do something that will make my business maybe just that much better. And over time it can add up.
I don't ever talk about this, but my wife, she loves to talk about it and brag on me, but building my house.
Yeah.
Building my own house as a young single guy, not making much money. And definitely wasn't, I'm more knowledgeable now, but definitely wasn't an expert then either. But I made it happen. I don't really know how.
And it was a while ago too. Like, how old would you have been when you...
I was 26 when I broke ground.
Okay.
Yeah, 25 or 26.
Yeah, that's a lot more than I was doing at 26.
Yeah, so. Weird time. So I am very proud of that, and I've gotten better at patting myself on the back, because it's, if you know how the sausage is made, like I know how I did it.
Yeah,
I'm not an expert. I'm not the most skilled craftsman ever, but I did do it. I created this thing, and it's there, and it's a house, and my wife loves it, and the mortgage is very cheap.
Yeah.
When you look around at everything else now, and got into it at just the right time. So I am very proud of that. And then the other one that I am very proud of that I definitely don't talk about is I got an award for being the outstanding recruit in the fire academy.
Nice.
And it was voted on by the other guys in the class. So there were 10 of us in the class. And that's just really cool, because they're all guys that are there because they want to help people. They're all intelligent, they're athletic, they're driven, and they all voted me as the outstanding recruit.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. So just to be like maybe a leader or even just a good guy to those guys, that meant a lot for me. So.
Yeah. Which, with building your house, it's not only did you build it, but it's really cool too. And it's small, it's simple, but there's just you got the little loft that you made. So if you can visualize, well, maybe we can put up, you might not want to put pictures of your house on the internet, but there's like a hallway, but one of the walls at the top, there's windows, and then the other half kind of like cuts off where the rooms start, and there's a little loft up there. And just little things like that I love about houses, where it's the simplest thing, but it just makes it that much more unique and like a fun little nook.
Yeah, and it's cheaply made, but it's just not the cookie cutter house that a large corporation builder would just throw up, because they have the plans and this is what they do, and the guy's just, it's a factory, you know. But I was just able to do some different creative things because I took the time to budget it and create it and tweak it. And so,
what are some of your favorite creative things you did with your house?
The offset roof is really cool. So it has an overhang over the windows that is set up to passively heat and cool. So it in theory will block the summer sun when it's higher in the sky, and it'll catch the winter sun when it's lower. So who knows how much that helps on the bill, but I think that's
also more natural light.
Right. It's really cool. And I have those upper windows open, so I get really good like heating and cooling if I need to open a couple windows. I think just the setup, how simple it is, but it's also just unique. All the lines and stuff, it's kind of hard to describe, but just the geometry, and maybe that's my thing. That's my piece. Like that's my life's work. And I plan to always be working on it and updating it and adding things to it. So we've got like a little fire pit now, and I've got a detached shop that's coming along. So maybe by the time I'm ready to check out, that will be like my museum piece there.
Yeah, artwork. Neil's house.
Yeah,
that is an art. Like, I just, in the same way that I watch people paint, and I think, how on earth do they do that? Like, they just see something. You'll watch a Bob Ross video and try and follow along, and he's like, you just do this, and his looks so good, and then you try, and it's like a 6-year-old.
Just a happy little tree over here.
Yeah, that's how I feel about a lot of construction stuff. It just doesn't compute for me for some reason. And I tried for a while, and I just realized I'm losing my employer way more money than I'm earning him. And I need to do something else.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's something else about your house that I was thinking. The creativity, something of the creativity about it. And I don't know. Moral of the story is your house is cool.
Yeah.
I did remember. It's neat that your wow, this has some alcohol.
Yeah.
Good. And it's what, 3 p.m.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, let me restart.
Yeah.
It's neat that your like the way that you made these decisions years ago to build your house and do it in a cost-effective way has even led to your current situation where you can be unemployed for a bit and reassess, like, what do I want to do with my life and career and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. I've had a lot of these things adding up recently to where I'm like, man, I'm so happy with the way my life's gone. Even if I could go back and change those things like we've talked about. Yeah. I had no idea that I was going to meet Laura, that she was going to actually like the house, that the housing prices were going to skyrocket, lumber prices were going to skyrocket. Like, I got really lucky when I finished it and got in at the rate that I got in. My wife loves it. I love it. It just kind of all worked. So
it's hard to beat.
It's amazing. Yeah. And it's given me the opportunity now to kind of take a step back and figure out what do I want to do? What feels authentic? What feels right? What's going to change lives around me? All these questions that I'm able to ask, partially because of my wife supporting us, but partially because we have a place to live very affordably and we can cover the bills because of things we've done in the past when I had no idea what the future was going to look like. So
I think that question you got earlier, if you were president, what law would you make? And if immediately, I don't know how I would do this, but find some way to just make like the cost of living better for everybody, because it's wild, like not having to worry about money as much anymore, as opposed to life where you are worrying about it all the time. And so much of that is just like having good cost of living, your rent or your mortgage is decent. And a lot of people don't have that. And you're just stressed out all the time because you're trying to keep up with an increasingly, like the goalpost keeps moving higher and higher and higher, and your wages are not going that way either. And so I feel very thankful for the situation we're in. It's not like we're just like rolling in the dough, but like living very comfortably and have a very decent cost of living. But I've definitely, I just feel awful for the country at large and of people who don't have that luxury.
Yeah, so I'm not taking it lightly. I feel very blessed to be in this position and in a position where I have the knowledge and the skills and maybe the funds to do something and start something that I can do by myself so I can keep the price low. I can make plenty of money and I can present a product to someone like myself, middle class, that they can afford, that they might be able to live in, or at least a piece of furniture or something they could put in their house and be proud of. That's cool.
Yeah. We don't have to put up pictures of your house, but we should put some pictures of your woodwork.
Yeah.
Because the things I've seen, like, it's really good work.
Yeah, thanks. I'm trying to get my Etsy rolling, and so we'll see.
That's really cool.
Goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll wrap it up with, like, maybe we can each pick one more that we really like.
Are we going deep here? We going silly?
How about we'll do one deep one, then we'll end with a quick silly one.
Okay. Some of these I know the answer to, so I'm gonna. Here, I don't know this one though.
Okay.
Tell the story of a love interest that didn't work out.
Oh, that didn't work out. I just don't have a lot. Like I listening to that song "Lips of an Angel" not too long ago, where it's all about the my girl's in the next room and I wish she was you and that kind of stuff. And it's easier to not have those feelings when you like don't have anyone to like any exes that you're ever thinking about. Yeah. And because
I love that you just keep that song around. Is that on your current playlist?
It's in my head, like all the time. I don't know why.
It does get stuck in,
Yeah, it plays at the strangest times. Mostly when this does not sound rational at all, because it's not. But when I take a bite of food that's really good, it just instantly starts, it's really good to hear your voice. Because there's something about maybe the euphoria
I love that.
or something.
Yeah.
But there's a girl that I was sort of dating, or not sort of dating. Like, we were hanging out a lot. We were on the cusp of dating and of being sort of official. And this was in college. And it was also while I was transitioning out of college and getting more radicalized in different ways and grew out my beard and just becoming a more intense person at the time. And so I think that really turned her off, understandably.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that one did not pan out. And but it, in a way, I sort of maybe dodged a bullet, and because she got married to someone else, and then a few years later decided that she was actually gay and divorced him, which, not that it would, like, it's more like that would have been a weird position to be in.
Yeah.
And so that's one that didn't work out.
That is an interesting,
yeah.
So when it didn't work out, did you think, like, oh, that's her loss, she's wrong? Or were you like, well, maybe I am, like, am I on the right path here?
Even at the time, well, it's hard to say because there's so much context of that season in life, but it definitely wasn't like her loss, partially because that's just not my personality to feel like I'm usually
that's a weird way to put it. But did it make you question, like, what you were doing at all, I guess?
Not particularly. If anything, it's one of the dangers of radicalism, of, like, the more you're persecuted, the more you feel
must be right.
Yeah, I must be right because I'm getting this resistance from my friends and my pastor and my girl,
Satan.
And Satan. And so it's a tricky. That's a slippery slope, and so I don't think it had that effect. Yeah. Okay, this is one of the questions that I also ask people a lot, of who is someone that you don't get to see often and miss a lot, and why?
My friend Cody. He's in Louisiana.
So that Cody.
I don't know if he watches these, but Cody, if you're watching, man,
we love you, Cody. I miss him here.
He's one of those unique people that I've met that kind of gives me the frame of, like, how I view myself. If I can be interesting, I can affect people in this way, because I've met people like that, you and Cody and different people in my life, but he's definitely one of those very unique, very open-minded, very honest, very bold, in a loving way, just educated, smart dude. It's just, he's a great listener. I just love being in his presence. So I don't get to see him that often, and I feel much closer to him than what you would expect given the actual time we've spent together, like physically in the same room. Like, I've known Cody probably, I don't know, nine-ish years, and we've only been together, I don't know, a dozen times in the same room, but it's been meaningful time spent together, long time, overnight stuff or whatever. And he's just really special.
It's amazing how much something just like a road trip or a weekend trip with somebody that you didn't even know before can just, now they're your best friend, that sort of thing.
You just meet those people and you're like, this is my kind of person. There's just a soul connection there where it's like, this guy's cool, I want to be around him.
Well, hopefully we gave some inspiration of good questions to ask people, because I think it's one of the keys to a meaningful life, is both asking yourself good questions and, like, in your head day to day, but then asking people and trying to ask them the sort of questions that you wish that people would ask you sometimes but never do. And so let's finish off with let's find a good silly one. Okay, if you were an animal, what would you be and why? Not what would you want to be, but, like, based off your personality.
What would I be?
What would you be?
I would probably be like a mama grizzly bear.
Okay. I was not expecting that, but as soon as you said it, it made total sense.
Yeah. Because everybody wants to be a big cat or a predator of some sort, but I don't know that I really want to track down, like, a wildebeest and try to just gnaw on it until it dies. But I could probably catch some fish, like catch some fresh salmon and eat some berries or something, and protect my cubs and my territory and just be this majestic, furry thing.
Mama Bear Neil.
Yeah. And they're super, well, I would want to be considered strong and fast. I don't know that I necessarily am, but yeah.
Well, yeah, so grizzlies are terrifying.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the mama grizzly.
Okay. Yeah. I would probably be a turtle of some kind.
Yeah.
And I'm a little slow, but then I like how turtles are, like, they're just taking their time. You know, they're not in any rush. They've been around for the planet for a long time. They've seen a thing or two.
Very wise.
And yeah, it's amazing how when someone's sort of quiet, you sort of automatically assume they're sort of mature and wise.
Yeah.
But some people open
So if you're dumb, be quiet.
Yeah.
That's people will assume you know what you're doing.
Exactly. And yeah, turtles are just they're my people. I used to run into them a lot too. Not like with my car, the owls, but they would literally be on a path, whether I was hiking or on a local trail, like would almost step on one, like it would be in my path, and I just sit there and like hang out with them for a bit. They'd go in their shell and hide, and be like, "I'm hanging here till you come out, say hi."
Not leave until you're my friend.
Yeah, this is not over till we're pals.
Yeah.
So
got it.
That's my answer. Thanks for watching. We got this is the Clean Co. You can find it at Walmart. One day, one of these companies will sponsor us.
Yeah.
We're going to get there.
Yeah.
And until then, bye. See you next time.